I hope that you have enjoyed the advanced manufacturing learning journey that you've just been on, whether virtually or physically. And we would like to say a very big thank you to our partners like TÜV, Delta, and CETA, without whom this learning journey would not have been possible. As a super quick recap, what you've just been through was divided into 3 zones: the digitalisation zone, integrated zone, and smart zone. We certainly hope you have had a good experiential learning experience. But that's enough for the recap. Let us now look forward, because we've got a half an hour panel discussion. And for those of you watching us online, I'd like to encourage you to ask questions through the online platform. And without further ado, I'm going to now welcome my panelists that will be discussing the topic COVID-19 as a catalyst for digital transformation. First, I'd like to introduce next to me Mr. Lo Yu Chong. He is the Senior Director here at Singapore Polytechnic, and he's Senior Director in the Engineering Cluster, where he oversees the School of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Mechanical and Aeronautical Engineering, Singapore Maritime Academy, Advanced Robotics and Intelligent Control Center. He's a very important gentleman here at Singapore Polytechnic. So very happy to have Mr. Lo here with us. Thank you, sir. Next to Mr. Lo, we are privileged to have with us Dr. Antonio Ferrero, Vice President Digital Services at TÜV Asia Pacific Private Limited. Dr. Antonio has a degree in industrial engineering and a PhD in artificial intelligence, with over 15 years of experience in managing projects in consultancy and product development in IT, IoT, robotics, and energy efficiency, to just name a few. So we are very happy that Dr. Antonio has brought his expertise and experience to the panel. Next to Dr. Antonio, we've got Mr. Man Ko Wo. He is the chairman of CETA, Smart Industry 4.0 Transformation Alliance, i.e. he is the Takatala of CETA, managing director of STech Private Limited as well. Mr. Man is the founder and managing director of STech, which was established in 2003. A company specializes in areas like design, manufacture, and integration of industrial automation equipment and systems to support manufacturing companies by improving manufacturing processes, productivity, and reduce operation costs. As you can tell, I'm reading very quickly because I want you to hear from them. And last but not least, at the far end, I've got Dr. Kee Jack Sheng, Lab Director at Delta Electronics. Dr. Kee is a part of Delta. He has the knowledge in the field of advanced manufacturing, smart industry, cyber physical systems, and analytics. We are very happy to introduce our panel. Let's give them a big round of applause to kick off. Gentlemen, the topic is COVID-19 as a catalyst for digital transformation. I'm going to scope the conversation in 3 major parts. We'll talk about speed, we'll talk about size, and then subsequently we'll talk about action. All right, so let's begin with speed. And on this idea of COVID being a catalyst, has COVID sped up digital transformation in your field, your industry, and your space? Let's begin on the far end with Dr. Kee. Sir.
Thank you, Rick. So my name is Jack from Delta, and on this question, first of all, let's say Delta as a manufacturer, we have Delta have factories that we are managing in different parts of the world. Definitely, pandemic has caused disruption. What are the disruption? Definitely, the supply chain are disrupted. The risk management has been much higher. And because of that, what we need to do is to have the kind of decision making that is fast enough. So the first trend or observation that we do observe is how can we have the data information to allow decision maker in this pandemic to work on it faster, to make decision faster, and definitely digital transformation will provide that one. The second one I would like to say is we do see that a lot of this production still need to maintain its efficiency, the productivity. But with the pandemic disrupting, how can we do that? So a lot of topics that we've been talking about, AI-driven optimization, AI, it is well needed at this point in time when the labor shortage, the expertise are lack of on-site. So a lot of this connected information with the AI running, analytics, that are very important today. And the third one, all of us are affected. All of us know that even right now, as I'm talking to you and you put on a mask,
Mm.
the way of working are different. The way of conducting all the business activity are different. So the workforce are definitely being disrupted. So I believe the third one are very important right now in this situation. And therefore, the talent development are very crucially needed towards this area. So I believe these are the areas that accelerate all the areas that we talk about: digitalization, AI, talent transformation.
Dr. Kee, if I were to sort of press you a little bit, why did it take a pandemic to get these things moving if it was so obvious to begin with?
Okay, I think the situation is pressing us to do that much faster because definitely during what we call it the peacetime, when there's no wartime, definitely there will be less of this activity. But right now, a lot of this, when we are looking at it, we know that it is coming. But during those good years, I would say, or in those times, are less needed. But right now, the situation calls for such situation. For example, when we talk about talent transformation, we have been talking about lifelong learning, continuing education, because the new wave of automation, AI.
Right.
But today, when we look at the whole situation, even conducting business, a lot have done to be done on digital platform, a hybrid of it. How can we adapt to that? So right now, the situation push us so that we can perform, excel, because in this business, to thrive, to continue to be successful, I think that is one of the key factors.
Thank you, Dr. Kee. Over to you, Mr. Man, in terms of speed of transformation that COVID has brought.
Yeah, actually, COVID-19 has accelerated the adoption of digitization and automation, in the whole industry. And then last time, many of the company have not think of, especially SME, have never think of, what is digitization and automation. And because of this COVID-19, many companies have started to look into how to continue run the business and production with lesser manpower because of this, some of the country lockdown. And of course, the number of people allowed to work in the office is less. And also they wanted to look into how to become more competitive with extra output. Therefore, the digitization and automation is very crucial to them. And in the past, I think this kind of automation, digitization is not new, especially to MNC, those multinational company. They've been doing that, especially for semiconductor. They've been doing that for many, many years. And especially for precision engineering and sector, not many of the SME will really think of this digitization and automation is essential. And after this COVID-19, they really, really think they have to change the way they run now. And in fact, we have received many inquiry from the sector, especially in electronics and some other area that is booming. Of course, not for aerospace and oil and gas. These two sectors have been really plunged substantially. And that's why we have to also look into how to help them to speed up. And we also see how to transform them in a faster pace. And also for us, also have to change the direction. Instead of focusing in aerospace and oil and gas, we have to look into other area who are in the booming stage.
So, Mr. Man, I'll again follow up with you with regards to what you just mentioned. I think in the audience today, there must be some people who are interested in this topic or interested in this industry, because then they will watch, right? So you mentioned that there was some unevenness. Some industries are doing well, some industries not so well. Where are some of the bright spots you are seeing?
I think for this COVID-19, we see the semiconductor, electronics, and also the life science sector is actually having a lot of inquiry, a lot of production increase, because of some of them is need the ventilator to continue providing to the market, how to help them to go through this COVID-19. Yeah, then there are some other electronic parts, they also require the production to speed up, also ramp up the production. So that is the area that we can help them to reduce the cost, and then of course to speed up the increase the output with the shorter lead time. Because right now the demand of certain area, certain parts, certain electronic components is in the rush now. Therefore, the possibility and the urge for them to go into that direction, I mean, to increase the production is so much higher compared to last time. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Man. Dr. Antonio, you've been doing this for a while now. Is this the fastest you have seen things move?
Yeah, in terms of adoption or in terms of awareness from the manufacturers, yes, this is the moment where they realize that it's time to act, it's time to embrace this journey. I would say there's a way of saying where there's a need, there's a will. And this pandemic situation brought the need to understand how can we be ready, or how can we increase our level of agility. Now, for example, when we think about agility, how can you increase your agility as a manufacturer or as one of the main actors there? Focusing your target functions, let's think about what we need to think in the future is no more only about the productivity or about the quality, but also becomes important the speed and the flexibility. The speed, we define as speed, not the number of products / the time, but more the ability that we have in creating new products. Think about one of the consequences of the COVID-19 was, as you mentioned, some of the sectors, they've been very badly impacted, like all the sectors that are around the transportation. So it's not only automotive, but also oil and gas, but also all those precision engineering and also those chemicals that are related to the automotive sector. On the other side, you face some skyrocketing of the demand, like the pharmaceutical products. And some pharmaceutical who were not really into the business of, for example, hand sanitizer, they transform some of their plants to serve this product. And this is basically given for the speed or also adjusting the thing. Another important, the last and I think also very important target functions we can define like that is the flexibility. So the flexibility is the level of integration. How am I integrated with the old supplier of my value chain? That means from supplier, from the overall logistics, distribution channel, and also points of retail, end point of retail. The more I'm integrated with my supply chain, the best I'm able to react faster to disruption, because COVID-19 also represented a disruption for the overall supply chain.
Right.
See it as a borders limitation in between countries. And most of the supply chain are not only located in one single nation, it's multiple nations. And this was basically a sort of bottlenecks for many manufacturers. So I believe that getting back to your question, COVID-19 represents a strong catalyst. And I believe that if manufacturers are not willing to act now, they need to act as soon as possible, because this period brought to them the awareness of how it's important to have a business process or operation more integrated. And from this, you can move then to the next level, which is basically achieving a level of visibility and transparency in your overall, let's say, processes, internally and externally, to allow you also to run simulation. I would say that nobody could have faced or predicted the pandemic situation. Because it's a disruption. Being it a disruption is something that you are not expecting, you will not expect. But a company who are more integrated from end to end may probably have a higher level of agility, which enabled them to react faster. We saw, in order to curb the spread of the virus, we saw many manufacturers that had to stop their operation in the plants until they strategize how to split the teams in order to keep the production in a good and safe, but also keeping the productivity at a reasonable level. Now, if you have all the information digitalized, this could have been run faster than spending 1, 2, 3 weeks time before like strategizing and transferring this to execution. So that's my.
Dr. Antonio, I want to ask you a follow-up question, because this is a question from one of our digital audience, Jacob Tan. And you mentioned that, of course, it has been a huge catalyst in terms of speed and impact. And companies have sometimes almost pivoted entire business models to produce hand sanitizers, masks, that sort of thing, right? But how much of this is a knee-jerk reaction, in your opinion, saying, oh, there's a pandemic, we need to move and we need to move now? How much of this is sustainable and it's going to sort of create new habits, new norms in the manufacturing industry?
I think that we are aware that this Industry 4.0, and an important thing is that Industry 4.0 is not a product, is not one technology, is a transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So when we speak about transformation, there are several things that you need to consider. Time is not something that you do it in 1 year, or you do in 6 months, or you do in 3 years.
That's right.
It's a continuous transformation. Apart the time, there's important also the effort that you need to invest. You need to be committed.
Yep.
You need to have the commitment that you want to achieve a certain goal in the future that will enable you to be sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Then also the term sustainability is a broad term, sustainability. Sustainability can be seen as a business point of view, can be seen from a green perspective.
Yep.
And I think that what manufacturers are willing to achieve is a sustainability that enables them to optimize their internal costs in order to cope with unexpected event later on.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Industry 4.0 as a new, let's say, as the next revolution within the manufacturing, I mean, I see also as an evolution, is able to provide this new concept, these new approaches to manufacturers in order to achieve this level, in order to increase their own agility.
Got it. Right. So agility, flexibility in terms of reacting.
I would say, yeah, the more you point to speed, flexibility, the more you'll be able to be agile, the more you increase your agility.
To be ready for the next one, if something like that.
For COVID 3035.
All right, Mr. Lo, I'm going to come to you. And from an academic perspective, how has COVID disrupted and accelerated change?
I must say the COVID situation has impact of COVID situation to academic institution has been fast and furious. What was taught previously, by the lecturer, that they have a convenience of a classroom, you have a captured audience of students in front of them when they teach, it's all disappeared suddenly. When there was a circuit breaker, and the lecturer has to immediately adapt in terms of a mindset change. Previously, they have thought that it's almost impossible to engage the students effectively, over online. But now they have to switch their mindset to say what is possible and to look for the possibilities. So the mindset switch is almost immediate when the lecturers have to enter into a circuit breaker in order that the learning outcomes can still be achieved to a certain extent over the internet. Right? So that's the first impact on the lecturers. The second thing is that in order to achieve the same learning outcome, then what are the skill set that they need? Right, so they have to quickly search for tools, online teaching tools that enable them to craft their teaching materials, to put them together in an effective way, to change the way of assessment, so that they can engage the students in a meaningful assessments. So all this involve a exchange of skill sets, which is another thing that the lecturer was not used to in the previous, before the circuit breaker. Now they have to acquire such skill set very, very quickly. And that is a big change to the lectures. And of course, the last things is the learning behavior of our students. We have to think of how the students will learn in a new environment. And so the way we craft our pedagogy, we have to think about the behavioral change in terms of the learning, as well as even the academic staff have to start coming together to help one another to learn the new tools. So it's a total behavioral change as well. So I think the changes to the academia is quite drastic, I must say, over the last few months.
And would you say these changes are going to be short term? Do you reckon that it's going to be in place for a while? Is Singapore Polytechnic putting things in place to make sure your students continue to be relevant to industry?
Oh, definitely. I think that's why we have this collaboration with the industry, inviting them to co-locate some of the equipments on campus, because we feel that the authentic learning is critical for the progress of students, so that when they learn on campus, they actually have the similar experience, that they will expect when they go into the industry. And so that's why we put in all the real equipments, the authentic equipments, so that students can practice on it, while they're on campus. Yep.
Okay. Wow. Almost 20 minutes has flown by from the first question. So we have to talk about, I think, our second segment, which really is about size, SMEs versus the bigger companies. And let's focus our conversation on the SMEs, because I do have another question here. Henry Chua says, how can we motivate and encourage more companies, especially SMEs, to transform and integrate their business with things like the launch of the Advanced Manufacturing Learning Journey? Let me stretch that question out a little bit and ask, how can SMEs with their limited resources embark on this journey of transformation, especially during this difficult time? I'll start with you, Mr. Man.
Okay, I think this is the purpose of this Advanced Manufacturing Learning Journey.
Yep.
And we are also looking into how we help the SME to go through this period. And with the two-suit, assessment, of course, we can help them to look into the assessment. Then where are the gaps? Where are the level? And then into what level they are planning to do. And then after the assessment, then SITA is coming in with all the technology solution. They said what Mr. Lo was saying, we have something co-locate here. Meaning this is an all proven solution that in the market, for a while, and also supported by Enterprise Singapore. So what they can do, they can come here and take a look what we have here. So what kind of level they can see, so that they know this is something that they have it, so they will see whether is it suitable for them. And in a smaller scale one. And then we also help them to look into the plan, the roadmap, so we can help them to go by phases. We do not want them to go for full-fledged of I 4.0 that they think like what you mentioned, the manpower issue, the financial issue. This is the reason why we can look into phases, what they can do, in order to move on from stages by stages.
If I may add, if you allow me to add, I think that this is a great initiative. There's maybe one step before this that could be enable the company to understand more about what is the potential of Industry 4.0. Within TUSUD, we started launching this Industry 4.0 enablement program, which aims, as day one, to provide a really understanding what Industry 4.0 is, because some of the SMEs are still seeing this Industry 4.0 as something very far from their reality, and it's good that they increase their awareness and that they see that it's something that can be really applied to the daily operation. So you don't need commitment of millions of billions of dollars. You need first to understand what really Industry 4.0 is. This is why we thought that launching this enablement program is something that also helped them to increase their knowledge and see how this can be applied to their really operation. Siri helps to identify what is the logical next steps. And together then with the consortium, there's a natural follow.
You must first know what's going on before you can actually.
This is why I underline the importance of the awareness of what we're speaking about. Some of SMEs that I met in the past, they were just focusing on their own four walls without looking what is outside and without thinking, how can I transform? Because frankly speaking, some of one of the characteristics of Southeast Asia was the cheap labor force, and this pushed some of the SMEs to keep on doing things always the same. But now with this COVID-19 has been completely disrupted because the borders have been closed, and indirectly this will be impacted. So that is also.
I mean, it's almost a silver lining, actually, right? To sort of get people aware, get people awake about the possibilities. Over to you, Dr. Key, about SMEs and adopting Industry 4.0.
Okay, if I may add to it, I would say not only getting to understand. So I think the key criteria here that SME are looking for is the affordability. Okay, this is what they are concerned. How can they afford technology that we have been talking about? So here, I think together with SP, what we are demonstrating with the Delta solution is, if you want to look at the digitalizing digitalization, connecting up your machine, equipment, factories. You can do it with a manner that we do it with the phases that Man here mentioned. We provide software, hardware tools that is targeted. You get what you want. For example, getting the data and information where you can make decision. So that is very critical, and you see the result of it. And with that, you add on, as you see the result, business outcome, you continue to establish the next step. So there will be stages that are clearly designed, implemented, and you can use it, and that is the part. So I believe that with the AMLJ, the learning journey that SP has set up, I think the training part is not only just to get to learn, but to implement. That will lead to the second part of it, which is the customization that is targeting to your business need. So your business, your factories are different from other factories. There's no one size fits all. There are definitely a customization. And the integration part of this, customizing it, will need to work together, not only with Delta, with system integrator, and other company that is locally. For example, there are many other SI that is working on this, putting different technology. So I think the whole solution that is crafted out for the SME need to be effective. So with that, the ecosystem partnership together with other SI, other local SI, I think that will be very effective, so that the SME, what they are investing in, they can see the business result that they want.
And which is the ultimate outcome, isn't it? That
Yeah.
it has to be results-driven investment and insight into Industry 4.0.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kee. Mr. Lo, very quickly, any thoughts about SMEs and adopting?
Yeah, I think one of the challenge that SME has is they have their legacy machines. Yeah, which is always a question of what to do with them if they move into Industry 4.0. So I think the very first step is to really help them to see the possibility of even sensorizing some of these machines and connecting, to certain software systems for them to analyze the data, and in terms of productivity, they may get some insights towards that. So I think that is a very first step that may need to have in order to gain the confidence to move into Industry 3.0, 4.0. No? So I think it's a journey for them really.
All right. I understand that there are about 500 of you watching us online, and we have about 5 more minutes left in terms of timing. So I'm going to get the speakers to start wrapping up. But for you watching us online, once it hits 4, I think the content will change. So let me just say a very big thank you for tuning in from wherever you might be around the world. And thank you for joining us for the panel today. Let me turn back to the panel for your final wrap-up thoughts with our final topic of what we're going to talk about, which is what action can we take, right? If we want to take a step towards Industry 4.0 during this period of a pandemic. And Mr. Lo, I'm going to start with you, because you mentioned one of the things that's happening on the ground is collaboration, right? Industry and academic collaboration, and that has helped to make the learning outcomes for your students more relevant. What other actions do you think would help?
Okay, so I think the other thing is to really work on projects together with the industry. So for example, if say the SME comes for a learning journey and they find that there's certain things that they want to do, right? So we could actually get our students as part of their project work, work on some prototyping for the SMEs instead of engaging engineering consultancy to start with, which can be a high cost.
Absolutely.
So getting the students involved in such projects, first of all, train the students towards solutioning, and because of that, they can gain confidence when they go out to the real working world. And secondly, through these projects, we can also help the SME to prototype some of these ideas before they can pass on to some system integrators to make it into a full-fledged solution. So these are some of the things that we hope to do with the students as we bring the industry on campus.
And these young people, they have ingenious ideas.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
definitely.
might be even more innovative and more forward-thinking
Yes,
than...
definitely. Yes, we can tap on their thinking actually.
Absolutely. Dr. Antonio, action.
Yeah, okay. First action, I would say understanding more Industry 4.0 and what are the different technologies that you can apply on your, let's say, environment. Second is identifying what is your digital level readiness. If there's a need of sensors, as Mr. Lo mentioned, if how you can digitalize to the next level. Right. Then identifying and prioritize what are your next steps, which are the areas that you have to look for. And at the end, also try to understand what best practice around the world can inspire you. Because I'm sure that somebody else, some other SMC or MNCs already address your pain points, your problem, and that could be inspirational for you. We try to basically put all this together in our Industry 4.0 enablement program. We also basically collaborating with SP together with Delta and CETA to push this awareness within SMEs.
So really your message again is get out of your four walls and find out more what the world is doing.
Don't be afraid. Yeah. Or
it.
you do it proactively or you will do reactively. And I think all the panelists, we know that for example, in maintenance, reactive maintenance is the most expensive one.
Right.
So when you react to anything is the most expensive. When you're able to predict something, it's
ahead of the curve. Yeah. Got it. Mr. Man, action.
Okay. For CETA, actually, we have 21 technology solution provider here. We have different range of product to be deployed into the manufacturing factory in the industry. And what we plan to work on is to continue, because the solution that right now we have here in Singapore Poly may not be complete, So we have to continue together with our CETA member that fill up those technology